Kanye West, the self-proclaimed voice of this generation, is a musical genius. His work reflects the varied influences of music, merging R&B, soul, pop, electronica, and other sounds into an amalgam that, while decidedly innovative, is rooted in tradition. In 2005, Rolling Stone declared him the same way the Beatles personified the 1960s and Led Zeppelin the 72nds. West symbolizes the seconds. His statement, "I am Warhol. I am the #1 most impactful artist of our generation. I am Shakespeare in the flesh" might seem delusional, yet many recognize that there is an element of truth in this. Consequently, Kanye West is one of the most engaging and polarizing figures in popular music. His success and influence in the industry are well documented. However, it is his unlikely journey from youthful dropout to superstar that is the focus of this video. Detailing the life of Kanye West is like watching a Shakespearean tragedy. This is not stated as hyperbole but an observation of his own self-depiction. Many have noted his rags to riches story, and it is all too clear how those humble beginnings have impacted his life. Whether it be speaking at his 2005 Diamond Ball, "I feel like I am the living, breathing Jesus Christ," or his song "Can't Tell Me Nothing," where he ponders, "If I knew what I knew in the past, I would have been blacked out on your ass." It is clear that Kanye recognizes the folly of his own actions and is in constant search of redemption from them. Kanye's mother, Dr. Donda West, was an English professor at Chicago State University, and his father, Ray West, a former Black Panther, is now a Christian marriage counselor. They divorced when Kanye was 3 years old. He and his mother then moved to Chicago, Illinois. It was Chicago where Kanye probably realized his passion for music. Coming from a city deeply rooted in blues tradition, it is perhaps an element he employs in his own music. As written in Through the Wire after his horrific car accident and jawbreak, "I spit it through the wire, man." In this both literal and symbolic sense, Kanye refers himself to a blues musician. "Man, I promise, I'm so self-conscious. That's why you always see me with at least one of my watches, rolls, and my locks that need a haircut." He later enrolled at Chicago State University, but at 20 years old dropped out of school, surprising his mother. The events that were to follow are the rise of a legend. Let's talk about his early life and education. In his home environment, undoubtedly a formative and innovative stimulation, Kanye West was engulfed in a learning atmosphere. Dr. Donda West had difficulty securing a steady job in teaching, so the family lived in the area surrounding the university, and the argument could be made that tuition was effectively subsidized for West, who took an art scholarship to the university. Unfortunately, in the summer of 1996, while West was working towards gaining an opportunity in the business world, it was tragically disrupted by a car accident in which he sustained injuries so severe that he would virtually require reconstructive facial surgery. It was thankfully non-fatal, and it inspired him to record a song with his jaw still wired shut, hence produced by Symbolic One. While crushing, it was yet another instance of life redirecting Kanye West's path. After the car accident, West would transfer into the city's well-renowned music scene, which would give him an opportunity to find his niche, resulting in much surrounding success. Sometimes the value of college is usually taken too lightly by the youth, and Dr. Donda West gave out Kanye's life meaning in a rhyme. He got good grades and he got into Chicago's Polaris High School, known for its music curriculum. Kanye West discovered his musical talent in 3rd grade when he started writing poetry. His inclination for music as a self-expression medium would resurface in the future. He enrolled in 1997 in Chicago State University and took up a major in English with a minor in writing. This is obviously, of course, a strong factor in his unconventional rhyme schemes today. This wasn't enough for his musical appetite, however, and so he decided to transfer to the American Academy of Art to pursue a different major. It is the mid-1970s and Kanye West is born into an Atlanta, Georgia middle-class family, and soon after his parents decide to move the family to Chicago, Illinois. When West reaches pre-adolescence, his parents are divorced. This event caused a large impact on his life and is evident in his music and style. Kanye remains with his mother, but constantly moves around the Chicago area with his mother, and he often spends time with his father, a former Black Panther, a photojournalist, and a Christian counselor who placed an extremely strong value on education and learning to the son he shared with Dr. Don the West. In this video, it is obvious Kanye's college years had a massive effect on him. Not only had it been the initial time he was off from home, but it gave him a new outlook on the planet. After losing interest in faculty, he has thus emerged at Chicago State University in Asian Community College, Sussex, where he was to be told concerning the Black experience. The study of Black culture provoked his interest and would later influence his work. However, his passion for music was taking on. That meant less motivation to check. The turning purpose for him was the automobile crash that he has involved in whereas returning from the recording studio in La, where he has fallen asleep at the wheel and banged his face against metal, puncturing his jaw. This incident gave him a replacement lease and thus forever and has a good bigger significance. It became a spectacular moment that he would afterward mirror to in his lyrics. As a result of it, absolutely was therefore with reference to in need of him, that he has ever since felt that he's here for a reason. This incident gave him a replacement lease and thus forever and has a good bigger significance. In an interview with The Guardian, he expressed that almost losing his life created him turn out the school Dropout, his important entry album. In between late zeros and early tens, Kanye discontinued doing the live concerts. In a recent interview, he has told Zane Lowe that not being ready to perform live was his biggest career regret. It negatively affected my career only as a result of I didn't have the music to actually gain it up, he admitted. In recent times, Kanye is currently somewhat reclusive, relinquishing his sophomore album Late Registration in 2005. He has expressed his distaste with fame and wants to step out of the general public eye. In August 2005, Kanye West was within the center of a promotional tour for his latest forthcoming album at the time, Late Registration. Throughout a visit to L.A. to attend the VMA Awards, his head of security received an emergency decision from the family to notify him that his mother had passed from complications owing to surgery. This event had an apparent deep emotional impact on Kanye, with him stating in an interview with Q magazine that I did not go to work for nearly a year. I went to the Hawaiian Islands. I went to the city. As a result of I never felt that shocked and hurt before. He believes that his mother's passing was one in every of the many contributions to the worldwide icon he has become, explaining that it gave him a newfound world perspective that freshened his ability to make higher quality music. This is often a point in time in Kanye's development that might later would become a shift from producer to artist, with him claiming I had to find out how to write down songs. I had to get previous simply creating music. His fourth entry album 808s and Heartbreaks was the result of the sorrow and heartache from losing his mammy, and an in-depth breakup together with his fiancée at the time that significantly differed from his previous music efforts. It received mixed reviews but was seen as a significant achievement in pushing the boundaries of his music genres. It can be said that some of Kanye's academic strive and struggle can be understood through the symbol of his life as a college dropout. This album serves as a paradigm to his decision to signify commitment to his musical career. During his youth in Chicago, Kanye had attempted to pursue an education at Chicago State University, but then transferred to the American Academy of Art with a scholarship, hiding the desires of his mother to attain a lucrative career. This did not prevent him from recognizing his true talent and potential for something great. Consequently, contractual work in the music business became increasingly eminent, and foregoing his academic achievements to then gain recognition for beatmaking towards Rockefeller Records were contributing factors to his decision to drop out of school permanently. College Dropout, released in 2004 through Rockefeller and Def Jam, is a reflection of those choices that he had made in his youth. This was the commencement of Kanye's attempt to manifest his struggles into something metaphoric for greater understanding and good use in effectively communicating his message to others. An example of this is his song Spaceships, where Kanye uses past experiences of working jobs and his turbulent elevation in the music industry as a symbol of the African American dream to escape hardship and gain financial freedom. His enlightening lyrics serve as a testament to the fact that Kanye maintains that although he has seemingly abandoned classical education, he has not forsaken the importance of learning and self-betterment. This is eminent through using multi-syllable rhyme patterns and complex metaphors to create a distinctly lyrical presence in spite of his commercial audience. He continues to demonstrate his self-awareness and enlightenment with his now established position in a recent appearance at Oxford University. One of the previous obstacles to unqualified greatness for Kanye West, a now renowned rapper, super producer, and fashion designer, is his opportunity for formal equivalent education. In Michael Eagle's Kanye's Taught You Right, Eagle explores how Kanye's actions as a dropout and deeply thoughtful lyrics impact the minds of young African American kids. Kanye has taken exceptional procedures to reaching his level of recognition and does not serve as an obsequious to students, but rather as a testament to the power of diligence, talent, and sacrifice. The narrative of his musical experiences juxtaposed with his true intelligence and insights will help to juxtapose his lyrical messages in contrast with those of his experiences in the music industry. Let's talk about the breakthrough album, The College Dropout. The College Dropout holds many singles we are all familiar with. Songs like Through the Wire and Slow Jams were songs that had previously brought much acclaim to Kanye as a producer. Through the Wire was a song in which Kanye rapped while his jaw was broken in a car accident, and is notable for the fact that it has a chipmunk soul sample of Chaka Khan's Through the Fire that Kanye had become known for producing hip-hop with. Slow Jams was a collaboration track between Kanye, Twista, and actor-turned-crooner Jamie Foxx and ended up at #1 on the US Billboard chart. But singles such as Jesus Walks foreshadowed where Kanye's music and even personal ideology were headed. At the time of the album's release, Kanye already had the reputation of being a talented producer with much commercial success. But when he made an album chock full of songs that made a statement about the current state of hip-hop, mixed with social commentary and self-consciousness, it took many people by surprise. The public at large marveled at the fact that an album as eccentric and risky as The College Dropout could come from such a successful and in-demand producer who had worked with marquee artists in the game. The album's artistic statement was so bold and different that it challenged the status quo of hip-hop music. In May 2004, Kanye's debut album The College Dropout was released to the public with much anticipation. The album received many awards, including a Grammy for Best Rap Album, and debuted at #2 on the Billboard 200 chart, selling 441,000 copies during its first week. Kanye's life was forever changed. Where Kanye really began to make his mark was through his second and third solo albums, Late Registration and Graduation. Both of the albums combined have sold over 10 million records worldwide, with Late Registration releasing in 2005 and Graduation releasing in 2007. West showed how he was moving the game. By taking a more artistic approach to his albums, both albums were less centered around beats and content and more about the sound, using more live orchestrated instruments and less typical rhythm formats. West had actually used entertainment lawyer and personal mentor to sign both Just Blaze and Just Blaze to Team The Rock to produce the majority of both albums. In 2005, West and a team of other producers, including Just Blaze, worked on Common's critically acclaimed album B. West had always looked up to Common as one of his favorite rappers and loved B's quality and live instrument aspects. It would also give him and just songs like Testify and The Food, both songs featuring reworked beats of previous recordings. West finally had a near-death experience after being involved in a head-on car crash that fractured his jaw. After the accident, the incident inspired him to write the song Through the Wire using a jaw-wired shot technique that arguably was the birth of his signature sound. During this time, Kanye would also produce Game's first hit single Dreams and the remix to Britney Spears' song Me Against the Music featuring Madonna. After the two hit albums, West was building momentum. He was favorably treated by most music magazines and wrote articles about his confidence and ability to have longevity in the game. However, he has been seen skipping interviews and award shows, stating, "I want people to like me more as a real person than as a celebrity. I feel that's the way I can win people over." In taking his work to a higher platform, Kanye began to take more quality and calculated rhythm routes. He started making routine tracks for Jay-Z as he began to promote his record label by hiring major talents. In 2005, just as he was on the verge of releasing his sophomore album, West was involved in a near-fatal car crash. The crash left him with a shattered jaw which had to be wired shut in reconstructive surgery. The resulting wired jaw, so to say, gave West a newfound, distinct vocal sound that he later adapted as a form of calling card in his latter albums. Although this may be a personal battle, West has been involved in various events and issues within the public's eye. Often appearing in gossip columns for the wrong reasons, many perceive West to be a celebrity with a controversial lifestyle. One notable event was during a Red Cross Hurricane Katrina relief telethon. West went off script in an unscripted outburst over how he felt media portrayals of black people and those with low income in America were disparate from how the events surrounding the disaster actually went. This diatribe concluded with the infamous remark that George Bush doesn't care about black people. Naturally, his comments were met with mixed receptions, yet in a positive light. This event portrayed West as an artist with firmly held beliefs. The incident is just one of many occasions where West has unreservedly voiced his opinion. Whatever the consequence, whether in a political issue, award ceremony, or radio interview, West has since become well known for speaking his mind in an uninhibited fashion. This may well be a reason as to why a 2008 survey revealed that the majority of American youth found West to be the most inspirational artist of their generation. Passionate and vocal about fashion in many of his interviews, Kanye does not shy away from expressing his thoughts on the current state of fashion and his aspirations to be involved in high fashion. In 2005, he announced his plans to develop a pastel brand. Though the plans never quite materialized, the aspiration remained. Later, this idea resurfaced in the form of a capitalistic venture. Shortly after the release of Graduation, Kanye announced a collaborative shoe deal with Nike. The Air Yeezy debuted in 2009, with the Air Yeezy 2 being released in 2012. Never one to stop short of his ambitions, Kanye announced a new 2-year plan to create in 2013. Determined to get involved with the fashion industry at all levels. Now always one with an eye on the future, it would seem Kanye accomplished his 2-year plan and then some. In 2015, he was awarded with the Shoe of the Year award during the 29th Annual Footwear News Achievement Awards for his Adidas Yeezy Boost. This shoe was developed under his new Yeezy brand, an undertaking which, as mentioned before, stemmed from a reignited desire to be involved with fashion in a comprehensive capacity. The Yeezy brand has been a symbol of persistence and hard work for Kanye, triumphing through adversity. Whether it be not having a venue to show his line in 2012 or being unjustly ostracized by the fashion industry as a celebrity turned designer, Kanye will be the first to tell you it hasn't been easy, but he'll also be the first to tell you the adversity only serves to make triumph more momentous. Although Kanye West's career will always remain synonymous with hip-hop, his creative sphere is certainly not limited to music. The artist possesses an unwavering interest in fashion and design, and often injects his artistic vision in a variety of different visual mediums. After a few limited attempts at fashion, Kanye West released his women's fashion label DW Kanye West in October 2011. He received fairly negative reviews for his collection, mainly from the price of the pieces. Dresses were notably expensive, some priced over $1,000. The line was unable to take off and majorly failed. Kanye didn't give up on his dream of being in the fashion world, expressing through his song New God Flow in 2012, "I believe there's a God above me, I'm just the God of everything else." He maintained a mindset that he was capable of going down any career path he wanted. It was simply a challenge that he had to tackle. A major turning point in the fashion aspect of Kanye's career came from a partnership with Nike that led to the birth of his Yeezy sneakers. Developing the iconic shoe began with the Air Yeezy 1 in 2009 when Kanye West began to collaborate with Nike CEO Mark Parker. Kanye was involved in the creative process of the shoe and compared his work as a signature basketball shoe to that of an expensive car in the aspect of sacrificing fuel efficiency for aesthetics. He was still putting forth effort to push his way into the fashion industry with the mindset of limitless potential. The Air Yeezy 2 followed and would be released in 2 installments after the original shoe. This was the very beginning of the Yeezy brand and a long way from where it is today. When pushed about the release of his own fashion line and the stress with Nike's release dates of the Yeezy sneakers, Kanye expressed in various interviews his difficulties in breaking out of the confines others have of him based off his past, and the desperation to express and deliver his art with no compromises. His clever and persuasive articulation would attract the interest of other influential figures within the fashion industry, but also cause conflict between Kanye and Nike, leading him to sever ties and move ahead without them. After announcing the new partnership in 2013 with Adidas at the Adidas Global Brand Conference, it was now an official beginning of the Yeezy brand, the lifestyle brand with its own original footwear. The agreement also stated that Kanye would have more creative control, and the brand would make products for all genders and ages in expansive retail. This was indeed a major step up from his previous attempts in fashion and much more fitting for the self-proclaimed god of everything else. Kanye has stated that his story was a rags to riches story, and the use of the phoenix encompassed it, with the blast off of his career when surviving the car crash and the release of Through the Wire. In his childhood, Kanye had always wished to create a toy that was his self-proclaimed Yoda from Star Wars, an action figure, or a Teddy Ruxpin type doll. This idea was never let go, and in recent years after the success of the album My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, Kanye had announced that he would be working with the company to create a full-scale model as a step to attempt realizing his dream. No longer just known for music, Kanye holds a strong reputation amidst the creative industry of today. Williams, Eliza. Kanye West at ArtStage Singapore. Complex Magazine, January 14, 2011. Cooper Roman, Kanye West Art Company, DONDA, Hyperbeast, January 11, 2012. Kanye has been involved with numerous painting and drawing activities ever since his childhood. He even devotes any free time to creating in the studio. He had his very first art showing at the Art Gallery in Singapore held in July 2009. This was also around the time he released his graduation album. He later created a company that synthesizes his creative ventures, DONDA, named after his late mother. It is based around visual art and designed to come up with creative solutions to problems and innovate. Donda has done projects for the album Watch the Throne, Coldplay's Milo Xyloto, and the Cannes Film Festival creating a short film. The projects included creating visual interpretations to music, a comic strip, and a painting. The company was intended to be a design company for the 21st century, for a post-industrial society. All of these projects are strong displays of Kanye's art abilities. In 2019, it was announced that Kanye had signed a multi-year deal with NBC Universal to exclusively create scripted and unscripted content, which would effectively mark an official entry into television production. Despite these various endeavors, Kanye has yet to direct, release, or produce a major motion picture film. He also made a guest appearance on the Comedy Central show The Boondocks in the episode The Story of Gangstanicious Part 2, where he voiced a part of his own critique and public image. In 2012, Kanye West made a 7-screen cinematic experience at the Cannes Film Festival, directed by Ruth Halpern, for The Cruel Summer, which was used to promote The Good music album of the same title. Then, in 2018, Kanye West released a full-length 35-minute musical film for the album, which was premiered at a listening session in Wyoming called He vs. the People. This may be Kanye's first venture and dabbling into politics and may open up more and more politically related films or television shows by Kanye. In 2008, Kanye West announced that he had been working on a television show pilot for a show called Alligator Boots. The show was set to be a puppet show and have a similar tone to that of Crank Yankers. This show, as of yet, has no known release date. In 2005, Kanye West announced he would direct the film. The following year, in July 2006, he stated that the film he was set to direct would be called The Wonderful Life of Louis Brooke. based on a screenplay which he had written. Later that year, at the MTV Europe Music Awards, he announced that he was in negotiations to release a Jetsons movie, stating, "I have a relationship with them and the writers. I'm so busy I got in touch with the writers to get them to do that, and I'm taking meetings." Kanye met his soulmate when he started dating Kim Kardashian. At the time, there were many who doubted the union between the two, perhaps a statement reflective of Kanye's own transformation, doubt, and perseverance. An influential figure in her own right, Kim Kardashian has helped to guide and solidify Kanye's comeback in the public light by being a loving partner and ultimately the mother of his children. Together, they have 3 children, the oldest being North, and the 2 youngest children, Chicago and Sam. The two married and formed their family in 2014. Throughout all of this, Kanye has continued to strive and to the best of his ability take care of his family. Tragedy struck during the birth of North, where Kanye's mother had unfortunately passed away due to complications from cosmetic surgery. To this day, little is known about the truth to these events, though they are almost certainly a driving factor in Kanye's personal or spiritual endeavor to regain happiness and embrace a lifestyle that is as stable as it is satisfying. The love for his mother down the West and her tragic departure have been expressed through multiple mediums by Kanye, with the most notable instance being the song Hey Mama, and his surprise appearance on The Ellen Show to premiere the music video, closing the interview with a tribute to his mother through then and now smiling pictures of the two that brought the audience to tears. These events are also seen as harbingers to Kanye's deep-seated desire to rekindle or rediscover a sense of peace, something that he's working to achieve with his family. His eventual marriage with Kim and the children they have had are symbolic of Kanye's overcoming, as he's transitioned from being the shadowy figure sketched by mainstream media back to the bold, creative, and loving individual he'd aspired to be. He's able to show love for his family and carry out personal projects. His life transition was documented in the song Flashing Lights, with him dating then up to his and Kim's marriage with the lines, "Till I get flashed by the paparazzi. Damn, this end has got me." As of now, although Kanye and Kim have only been married for 6 years, they have faced countless tribulations in their relationship, demanded by the public eye and Kanye's mental health. Yet, Kim continues to be loyal to Kanye up until this day, constantly taking his side through thick and thin. She even admitted to feeling terrible and sad whenever a personal turmoil happened to Kanye, saying that she always put his happiness in delivering priority to her own. This unwavering loyalty and undying support has actually been put into a testament by Kanye. In 2018, he sparked controversy with his song XTCY, where the song's lyrics imply a desire to have intercourse with his sister-in-laws, reprimanded by his wife and yet still defended by Kim. This caused Kanye to publicly thank Kim for still supporting him and in turn bought her $1 million worth of stocks from companies including Disney, Apple, Amazon, and Adidas, making Kim an official investor and ultimately increasing her net worth massively. This just demonstrates the extent of their love and dedication to each other, seeing that it was never in doubt despite the circumstances. No breakup apparently could obstruct him, as Kanye already knew that Kim was the one. And going on and off their relationship in 2012, they eventually got engaged on October 21st, 2013. Kanye proposed to Kim in a lavish way by renting out an entire baseball stadium and an orchestra playing her favorite song, with a giant screen flashing "Please Marry Me." Kanye then also asked for approval from Kris Jenner before putting a 15-carat Lorraine Schwartz ring on Kim's finger. The magnificent engagement was then followed by another lavish ceremony, an Italian ceremony at Forte di Belvedere in Florence. The wedding cost millions of dollars and was attended only by close friends and family. Primary to Kanye's rapping profession, he experienced childhood in an average-sized home in Chicago, Illinois. His dad, Ray West, was a former Black Panther who was one of the first black photojournalists at the Atlanta Journal-Constitution and is currently a Christian advisor. Kanye's mom, Dr. Donda West, was a professor of English at Clark Atlanta University and the chair of the English department at Chicago State University before resigning to fill in as his administrator. He was brought up in the rural regions of Chicago. It was in Africa where Kanye built up an adoration for hip bounce music. He initially started rapping in the 3rd grade and making melodic syntheses in the 7th grade, in the long run selling them to different specialists. At a certain point, West inquired as to whether he could skip school so as to hurry home and record melodies in his room. His mom concurred, giving further help to her child's innovative interests. His introduction to the world-given name is Kanye Armory. West has outlined his own behavioral changes associated with his mental health issues. He noted that when you're someone that does something to change the world and sees so many disconnections, it's like being a time traveler of some sort. And then you end up being made to do what's not your passion. It's like if you're a female employee about to take maternity leave. He suggested that his actions at the 2009 VMAs were due to the fact that the video he believed should have won the award had not been the work prior to his current situation, when he was unable to help himself. He suggested that he was a different person from who I was when I made the album. This statement suggests a form of personal disconnection from his actions and the person he believes he had been. He also noted a breakdown during the opening of his fashion store in 2018. West began ranting and raving about Donald Trump and certain issues involving slavery for African Americans. West himself noted that his recent erratic behavior had an explanation. He suggested that this time when it was actually me was gone was due to an unspecified mental breakdown that led to his diagnosis with bipolar disorder. This was a significant moment when he revealed to TMZ that he had been diagnosed with bipolar disorder. This will be discussed in the following section. According to Sanford, the year 2009 was when Kanye West started his journey with mental health problems. He noted that his behavior was inappropriate and went on to state that West had been displaying signs of disordered mental health. His mother's death the previous year, in combination with the information we now know about West's bipolar disorder, may have set the stage for what was to come. West has stated himself that in the time following his mother's death, he was not able to do what he wanted to do. This clearly was a very difficult time for West and perhaps a key point for the development of his mental health problems. Sanford also describes the night of the 2009 VMAs as a significant change in West's history. West hijacked the microphone of Taylor Swift during her acceptance speech for Best Female Video and proceeded to insist that Beyoncé's Single Ladies was one of the best videos of all time. After the incident, West was asked to leave the awards show. Sanford notes this as an early sign of the problems to come. It was an unheard of way for West to act out in public. Describing what he's learned from his successful treatment, Kanye explains, "I feel a heightened connection with the universe when I'm ramping up. It's a beautiful thing, but after I've ramped up, it's not a beautiful place to be." And whether you call it bipolar or schizophrenia, you can call it schizoaffective, you can call it paranoia, you can call it. There's still this like, do you have this? Yes. Do you have this? He says that he didn't feel the need to get diagnosed until he was 39. And although he was resistant to being on medication because it only decreases my will to do the work, he is now taking an unclear number of medications. Because we can't properly replace a loaded term with an unloaded term, it's appropriately uncomfortable to hear Kanye say, "The medication is an important part of my being able to have this destiny that God put in my heart." In March of 2018, I am convinced that 4/5 of the world was out to get me. People were trying to control me, and that's when I was ramping up. It would be a whole thing where I would explode, and then I'd say, "Oh, I'm not having this anymore. I need to go away." And then I'd just leave. On his 2018 track Yikes from the album Yeezus, West confronts his struggle with the line, "That's my bipolar shit, and what? That's my superpower, and ain't no disability." West's goal to enlighten the masses on the misconceptions and generalizations around mental health are clearly commendable, and the effort to use his platforms for education and self-inquiry are commendable. Unfortunately, these infamous moments and events in West's life have more often than not led to public outcry and misperception, typically reaching levels of hysteria accompanied by various forms of negativity. I remember when I saw the movie The Pursuit of Happiness with Will Smith. This is around the time my mother passed. I was in Europe, living at the JW Marriott in Paris. I was going through a confusing time in my life, and I was so happy. I feel happy in a way. Seeing the struggle that Will had in that movie, I think that's what it is. That's the whole device that makes people. It's knowing See, because it's blowing up, it's getting rid of the struggle or trying to find ways to mask the struggle. But the adventures that happen from that start point till you get there make it fun. That's what gives it energy. That's the life force. This depth of internal struggle has been shown in a multitude of interviews and songs, more recently with a double-edged sword in confusion and frustration, but with an understanding toward positive change. He takes to his personal experiences and the effects on creativity in a 2017 interview with Charlamagne Tha God. West's efforts towards shifting the perception of his public image have only amplified fan concern due to sporadic tweets and interviews. With a more in-depth understanding of bipolar disorder since being diagnosed in 2016, West aims to put his own genius and creativity to use with efforts in changing the stigmas affiliated with mental health. His goal is to achieve this through the reduction of antisocial behavior with more discussions and presence and a steady inclusion. This is a war that West wages internally, and external incidents may cause setbacks, but he aims to be a warrior for it. The level of tragedy in the entertainment world has only been magnified over the past several years due to public incidents like Charlie Sheen's drug abuse and bizarre interviews, and most recently Philip Seymour Hoffman's unfortunate heroin overdose. These moments are a time when a man's character and mental fortitude is tested in the eye of the public. However, in today's society, most would prefer to watch the demise and feel superiority to the person rather than to offer a helping hand. In a recent interview with the New York Times' John Caramanica, West opened up about dealing with Robin Williams' suicide, explaining there's so many celebrities that are crazy, but they're happy. But I don't know one that's happily medicated. From the moment he interrupted Taylor Swift's acceptance speech at the MTV Video Music Awards in 2009, West has been known for his public outbursts and notorious comments. While these outbursts can be attributed to his passion as an artist and a philanthropist, some have questioned his mental stability. These moments tend to come when he is at his most stressful points in his personal life and public perception. At the heart of Kanye West's persona is eccentricity and two steps beyond innovation, and thus, he views the term impossible as obsolete and continually shatters the expectations of the music industry's status quo to pieces. This has been consistently shown throughout his career, but the means in which he has done so, musically, are at the crux of what makes him so influential. When considering his music from a purely audio standpoint, it is important to note that every one of West's albums has possessed a unique quality that is exceptionally distinct from the others, which gives evidence of his handful of different production techniques. Early on, Kanye sought out the production style of mixtape, and then chipmunk soul, which was done by speeding up soul music vocal tracks to give the effect of increased pitch. He then further experimented with his debut album The College Dropout by combining the emerging subgenre of Midwest hip-hop with a varying array of the aforementioned soul music. A defining example of his genre-bending style can be seen in the comparison of his second and third albums, Late Registration and Graduation. Here, Kanye would abandon the soul samples and orchestral style of his second album and create a more synth-oriented soundscape in an attempt to bring more change to the music industry by creating a subgenre of hip-hop that revolved no longer use of drum machines and turntables, but synthesizers and complex digital manipulations. This would set the stage for his most genre-bending work on the 808 Seconds and Heartbreak album, where he mixed his hip-hop background with a melancholy pop electronic sound. Finally, his most recent effort, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, is a grand combination of varied production and genre bending, as he has effectively used the maximalist multi-genre approach that cited everything from rock to soul and electronica to tie in the sounds of his past records to his most recent effort. The depth in which he can change his musical styles is simply uncanny, and this level of innovation and genre bending is simply unparalleled by any of his contemporaries. This notion that every one of his albums would follow a different sound would set the stage for pushing the industry to new limits by proving that every popular artist did not have to simply follow the sound of their last record in order to remain marketable. In his latter years of production, Kanye is a fine example of using a mixed bag of genres in an inspiring way rather than as his way of staying relevant at the time. Utilizing his already uncovered passions for R&B, jazz, and soul, he blended them together to create an emotive backdrop to the tale he is trying to convey. College Dropout and Late Registration were Kanye's roots in soul and jazz-influenced beats and percussions, and touched on elements from baroque to orchestral music with the use of instruments instead of samples. Kanye openly states his reason for the use of such music is that it represented back to a time of high culture and elite freedom, adding layers to the theme of his albums. The use of lush melodies and smooth percussion created music too good to put a curse word on. Gradually, Kanye began adding more and more outside genre influence. Graduation, being an album themed off an actual graduation ceremony, made the decision to sample European synth and dance music from the 80 seconds, much to the initial distaste of his fans. Kanye claims MBDTF was genreless. However, if anything, it became a combination of everything he had been attempting to accomplish musically in the prior years, with heavy use of orchestration and cemented with his work with Jay-Z on Watch the Throne, which heavily sampled 70 seconds and 80 seconds rock and soul music. Upon signing with Rockefeller Records, Kanye was known as a producer and Jay-Z's sidekick. At this point, Kanye formed the group The Go-Getters with rappers GLC, Timmy G, Really Doe, and Aerostar. This group allowed Kanye to launch himself as an artist and begin to build a following in his home city. Unfortunately, the group fell apart and they only managed to record one album that was not commercially successful. This experience did, however, further Kanye's production career as he revamped some of the group's ridiculous amounts of music and released it in the years following. The Usher remix was a turning point as Kanye began to establish himself in the industry and showed that he was a musician with tips on beat making and songwriting. During this time, he produced the idea for the Foxy Brown album, which turned into another classroom for Kanye, sharpening his beat making. It was his beat and Jay-Z featuring that got him truly hot in the industry. With the industry clout that came from working with the biggest name in hip-hop, Kanye was able to secure a record deal for himself. The most recent of these events was a benefit named Art of Life. Here, Kanye again involved friends and fans. This event raised over $500,000, and the funds were used to create a string of scholarship awards with an overall vision of creating a better world for at-risk youth. These children would be enrolled in a college readiness program and then given the possibility of college tuition aid. In collaboration with the Loop Dreams Teacher Training Institute, Kanye West developed the Through the Wire, hip-hop studies, and the civic engagement movement curriculum. This event, which took place over a 12-week period, was aimed at using his song Through the Wire as an example to show that with dedication and a strong work ethic, you can achieve any dream. The curriculum incorporates language arts and writing assignments, as well as video and audio arts. Students will be able to create their own music using Kanye's song as their inspiration. This project was aimed at literacy and recruitment of teachers to work in CPS with the Institute. With a proven track record, Kanye's chosen song would be a great tool to inspire, and a lot of the findings and coursework could be used to help the future use of hip-hop as a tool in CPS and beyond. This project was also heavily influenced by the success of Kanye's Dropout Bear character. The first event was a benefit, Kanye West and Friends, designed and produced to raise funds and bring awareness to the arts in Chicago. Kanye was heavily involved as a performer and organizer. Kanye involved many big names in the event from multiple creative fields and backgrounds. The money raised in this event went on to be the first seed donation to the Kanye West Foundation from the ticket and auction sales. Kanye's increasing public awareness beginning in 2002 gave him a platform to transform his beliefs and concerns about the situation for the youth and the state of the nation as a whole to positive actions. This led to numerous events and initiatives in his hometown of Chicago, primarily centered around the youth of the area, focusing on education in the arts to create a new, enriching, and well-rounded culture for future generations to come. In honor of his mother, Kanye West founded Donda's House, Inc., a non-profit organization created and led by Kanye's mother, Dr. Donda West. The foundation is aimed to implement and provide a safe and uplifting environment for underprivileged children of Chicago, primarily in urban areas and within the school systems. The Underhouse mission is to assuredly secure and create more opportunities for success for the youth through the pilot program Goodbyes, which is geared towards at-risk high school students. Goodbyes proceeds to teach creative writing classes with a concentration in the music and entertainment industry in hopes it will keep the students engaged and excited to learn. At the completion of the program, a single will be produced by the students involved. In an interview with Sway Calloway, West hinted that he would allow the students to record the single at his personal studio in an attempt to ensure the quality is exceptional and give the students a real feel of what it's like in the industry. The program reinforces the organization's purpose to provide music and arts instruction to young creatives, develop the next generation of impactful artists, and galvanize the community. The Underhouse has aspirations to expand the program and initiate a music and arts program, education initiatives, and ultimately a charter school in efforts to create more jobs within the community. Once a controversial figure of the Black community due to his comments on a live Hurricane Katrina broadcast, Kanye West has often been the source of mass scrutiny. His emergence as a supporter of the Black Lives Matter movement has been a shock to many, often causing disbelief and skepticism. However, the artist has used his recent personal struggles with the fashion industry and his past experiences with racial profiling to empathize with the families of police brutality victims. His introspective efforts to provide the half for several social issues affecting the Black community reflect deeply in his music and media presence. Lyrics such as "Too many echoes on your team, that's why your wind's low. Don't make me pull the toys out, huh?" From Power vividly convey the self-inflicted genocide attributed to Black on Black crime by using the catchphrase of the 90 Seconds nerd icon Steve Urkel as a metaphor. The line "toys" brings an ominous overtone symbolizing violent conflict. The line and other connected phrases from the song were used to draft the treatment for a pilot youth program earlier this February. This youth program aimed to use West's music to convey lessons of the dangers of drugs, gangs, and violence in Chicago's South Side, while opening alternative activities for at-risk youth. However, after some consideration, it was ruled that the program was not the best fit for West's creativity at the time and was never developed. Although the program was never launched, it shows that Kanye has been thinking of ways to improve his hometown, and has the right kind of mentality to do so. In the end, Kanye West's journey from a dropout to Yeezus is a testament to his relentless creativity, unyielding spirit, and the power of believing in oneself. His story serves as an inspiration for many, reminding us that even in the face of adversity, one can rise above and create a lasting impact. As we close this chapter, we look forward to the continued evolution of this extraordinary artist, whose unconventional journey continues to shape the landscape of music and culture.